We're going to be talking about the dark Scientology piano scam. It involves Stephen Ridley, who is a Scientologist. And my guest today is Andy from Guitar Stuff Studio. We have so much to share with you guys. Hey, everybody, and welcome. I'm Natalie. This is Scientology Life After a Cult. Today, we're going to be talking about the dark Scientology piano scam, and it involves Scientologist Stephen Ridley, and it's really starting to make the news right now. The stories are popping up all over the internet and YouTube with different creators covering this. There's so much to it. We're going to jump into it, and I'm really excited to have a special guest today. Andy from Guitar Stuff Studio is joining. He is one of the people who I came across on YouTube who was sharing this story and talking about Stephen Ridley and the ties to Scientology. So everybody, welcome Andy here. Hello.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you so much for having me on.
This is so exciting. So
big shout out to everyone in the chat as well. It's great to see so many people here from your channel and mine, which is nice.
Yep, I want to share right off the bat here. Let me show people. You guys can find Andy here at Guitar Stuff Studio. So check him out. He's already done a few videos about this topic, but he does a bunch of content on guitars and stuff.
Yeah, it's all about the guitars, but the stuff does kind of does come into it as well.
Yeah, and this is the stuff. In fact, Aaron, I was just talking to Andy. We were talking about how like you got to find out about this. You got to get the info here. That's it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. I was on YouTube minding my own business like I often do. And I came across a video of yours where you were talking about Stephen Ridley and this whole piano course and this scam and the ties to Scientology. I got to ask you though, how did you come upon this? How did you find your way to this story?
Right. Well, I mean, most of the videos I've been making recently have been about, it's about guitars and music and this, that, and the next thing. And there's a YouTuber / singer guy called Ken Tamplin, and he sells a vocal course. Anyway, it turns out that he'd been miming all of his stuff and he wasn't actually singing, and that kind of blew up, and there was a few exposés about Ken Tamplin, and somebody mentioned to me about that, and they just said, have you seen those scammy piano adverts where the guy that's dressed like Joffrey Baratheon off of Game of Thrones shouting at his piano? I'm like, yeah, because if you are, if you watch music videos and stuff on YouTube, you will see this guy. I mean, the amount of people that have said to me that they've watched my Stephen Ridley video and a Stephen Ridley advertisement has popped up in the middle of it. I mean, it's crazy. So I started looking into it, and it's just nothing about his courses. I think to somebody who doesn't play piano or is it a musician, it looks pretty impressive, what the guy's doing. But to anybody who knows anything about music and does play an instrument, I mean, you can see right through it that it's garbage. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll talk about him, and then I just started doing a bit of research. And yeah, the kind of the Scientology thing started raising its ugly head. And as I was saying to you backstage there, I've been a huge fan of your channel and Aaron's channel. Aaron's channel a bit longer. So yeah, I fell down the Scientology rabbit hole, and I watch you guys all the time. So yeah, it's like a double honor to be here. So yeah, big shout out to Aaron. I think it was this video about him reacting to the South Park Scientology special where I first found it, and then after that I'm just hooked. So yeah, then I just it was kind of like a tenuous Scientology connection that I couldn't confirm or anything after the first video, so I just left it at that. And then I did a little bit more digging, and then I found the stuff that we're going to talk about today, and I was like, oh my God, this is so much worse than, I could have ever thought it was. I think people need to know about this. So the second video came out.
I'm so glad that you're talking about it. And like I said, that's how I found you, was from one of the videos that you did on it. And I'm this is such a great example of, you had already been watching, Aaron at Growing Up in Scientology and watching my channel, because you're really right. You already had kind of a head start and background information that the red flags that jumped out at you about Stephen Ridley, not knowing that information or having that connection and understanding of Scientology, many might not have caught those. And you right off the bat had some really great insight about it. And I'm so glad you're going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean, it really was one of those things where I was watching it and I'm like, this just seems awfully familiar. Where have I seen this before? And then there was a very, like I say, there was a very tenuous connection to Scientology. And I was like, yeah, now it makes a lot of sense. He's using the same tactics that the Scientologists used to recruit members to their church. Hail Xenu.
Hail Xenu. I like that you do that. I was like, I'm feeling it.
And I've got some really cool Xeno pictures. I'll send them to you later on. It was like, yeah, the whole thing, he's using the same tactics to, get people into the piano course. But then when it turns out that the piano course is a gateway to Scientology, but like I said to you before as well, and I think a lot of people who watch my stuff as well were, is how come you guys have never actually latched onto this before? Because I mean, in the music, well, not in the music world, because Stephen Ridley's a loser and he doesn't really do anything apart from sell courses. But if you are in the music circle, you will have seen his advertisements. I'm sure you get advertisements for Temu and VPNs. I get them for guitar lessons and piano lessons and drum sets and stuff. So it's crazy. And like I said, I'm just surprised you guys hadn't like, hey, this guy's being gotta watch my language on your stream, haven't I? This guy's been a huge douche. Let's expose him. I'm hoping you guys tear him a new one now. So
well, now there's so much that we can compare, because what I love about this and being able to speak to you is you having the music, the understanding of that. Then I, can fill in like, okay, from the perspective of Scientology or a Scientologist, this is what he's doing. You mentioned that his courses, the way he's doing it in recruiting. I want to share quick here. This is from Stephen Ridley's website. So this is what he offers: a masterclass for almost $3,000, become a musician. And through much of his advertisements and videos and things on social media, he talks repeatedly about how, you only need to practice 3 minutes a day. And when I was first hearing this, I thought, okay, well, I, not knowing anything about piano, can you kind of fill us in, for those of us like myself who just aren't musical? I mean, I can like work Spotify and that is about it.
All right. Well. I mean, I am. I've played piano probably maybe 30 years now. I don't play piano as much as guitar. Guitar is my main instrument. But I find that having a good understanding of the piano helps me compose music. But from a guitarist point of view, I mean, I probably warm up for 20 minutes before I do actually start practicing. Mm-hmm. I'll do 20 minutes of warming up before I actually start playing. 3 minutes is nothing. There's no way. I mean, if you played for 3 minutes a day, it would probably take you 30 years to, get to, somebody who's having a weekly piano lesson with a teacher. It would probably take you 30 years to do a year's worth of work if you're doing 3 minutes. I mean, it's a ridiculous claim, and I think anybody that falls for it. But I mean, those are the people that he's catching in his little Scientology net trap thing, is people who don't know any better. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to make the videos, so that people who do see Stephen Ridley know that he's full of crap. Yeah, he's full of it. 3 minutes is nothing. You cannot learn a musical instrument just by playing 3 minutes a day. It is impossible unless you are born with some kind of Xenu given talent.
Yeah, exactly. And he's really he goes hard at people on social media. In fact, I've been told that his ads are showing up on my videos, which is hilarious. But this whole idea that you can do that, that piece alone sounds a little scammy. You pay the guy $3,000 and, oh, 3 minutes a day and this and that and whatever. But when you find out about then what happens next, and this is some of what you uncovered too. Let's take a look at a couple of things that are going to kind of fill in the blanks, I think, with what we're talking about in regard to Stephen Ridley and the ties to Scientology. So,
This is disgusting.
yeah, absolutely. This is something that let's read this one here. So, Ridley Academy Scientology Recruitment Center. This is a Scientology recruitment center hiding behind Ridley Academy Piano Masterclass. A group of Scientologists hide behind this piano school front to get young, unsuspecting, vulnerable women to get feelings for Stephen Ridley and then slowly manipulate them into joining Scientology through endless email campaigns that lead them to free mental health courses. The entire school is all Scientology recruiters posing as helpful musicians and music coaches to get you into Scientology. I had to stop my teenage daughter from getting involved with them. What a shame. I was hopeful this didn't have any agenda and only to learn the piano for her as an alternate to social media. Sadly, this is nothing but a recruiting school for unsuspecting students and young, vulnerable women. Anyone else experience this? It was very shocking to me as a parent that so easily they could manipulate my teen daughter into a cult. I would be very interested to know if any of you have experienced this. When you started reading these reports and these accounts and these comments, what did you think when you realized, like, whoa, this is more than he's not just scamming people how to learn piano, he's recruiting them, it sounds like, into a cult.
I'm not gonna lie, right? I mean, I was in the military for 15 years. I've done and seen a lot of things, but this actually made me feel a little bit sick. Because I mean, like I say, from watching your channel and Aaron's channel, I know how much Scientology ruins people's lives, breaks up families, and all the rest of it. And I mean, do you know one of the other things that really made me angry about this as well? And I just want to say this to everybody in the chat, anybody that's ever thinking about finding, a teacher online. If you want to learn music or piano or guitar or drums or singing or anything, there are really, really, really good teachers available online. Not everybody's not everybody's trying to lure you into a cult or anything. But people like Stephen Ridley do, the genuine teachers more harm than good. I mean, he's hurting a lot of people. And I mean, I've been in touch with YouTube as well to see if we can do something about the adverts, because it's just wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if I can't do anything, I mean, you guys know about it now, and I mean, you guys have got a much bigger reach than I have. So I just think, the more people that become aware of it, the better.
Yeah. What's crazy is the similarities, and this is often what happens with many Scientologists who use their businesses to then recruit for Scientology. In Scientology, you use L. Ron Hubbard's what they call administrative technology in your business. So it's not just applying it to yourself and then or going in and doing courses or getting Scientology, their version of counseling, which is called auditing, but you use it in your business. So you use a lot of the way that Scientology operates to run your business. And with his piano program, I think it was you who mentioned to me, it's kind of like you're always kind of chasing the carrot. The next thing, oh, the next class is going to get you there.
Hmm.
Your next step in Scientology, it's like that. Oh, the next course, the next auditing you do, it's just going to really blow away your stops, and then you'll be there and everything you wanted. It's just carrot, carrot, carrot.
I mean, I mean, I've been playing guitar for nigh on 40 years now, and I'm still learning. Okay, and I mean, I subscribe to a few guitarists who have Patreons, and they do lessons at their Patreons and stuff. I mean, these cost me $3 a month to be in one Patreon. Right. So if after 6 months I'm like, you know what, I'm not learning anything off this guy, or I'm not enjoying the lessons, I just cancel it. And you know, I've lost 18 bucks. Um, you know, Ridley wants 3 grand up front. You know, and there's no refunds on that. You're not getting that money back.
No,
You know, and that should be a red flag as well. But I mean, if anybody does, you know, is thinking about you know, learning musical instruments, or you've got doubts about anybody, I mean, seriously, hit me up, hit anybody in my chat up, or anybody associated with Guitar Stuff Studio, and we'll tell you if they're legit or not.
yeah.
You know, no favoritism. Oh yeah, he's a good guy, or no, he's in league with Xenu. You know, it's a good community I've got, and we all look out for each other, and that's one of the really nice things about, you know, what I've started, and you know, I'm actually quite proud of it.
It's good. I love that. I love that. Just being able to, and you've been on YouTube since, was it February or March?
This channel, yeah, I used to make YouTube videos a few years ago uncovering scammers, believe it or not. Um, uh, yeah, basically scammers that, you know, are like trying to sell courses in, you know, setting up a t-shirt shop or publishing books on Amazon and stuff like that. And basically, I just made a video one day having a rant, and I put it up on YouTube, and I think it got something silly like 20,000 views. I was like,
Mhm.
ooh, this is fun. And I just got the bug. I got the bug, and anyway, it was quite a negative space. So, and I wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't something I was passionate about, so I stopped doing it. And then last February, I came back, and you know, I'm passionate. Anybody that knows me knows I'm stupid passionate about guitars. I have a live stream called Guitar Nerds, and I mean, we will sit there for two. Anybody in the chat will back me up. We will sit there for 2 hours and talk about different guitar strings. You know, it really is. Yeah, like I say, it's just such a nice little community. I'm really proud. Everyone's, you know, everyone gets on. There's, you know, there's no politics, no religion. Everybody's just there for the guitars and the music, and you know, that's what it's all about.
I love that. Let's take a look at a little bit more information we're going to share with people about Stephen Ridley and his academy and how he is using it to recruit for Scientology. So, first, I want to share this is a photo. You got to look close, but he's right there. This is a photo of a group of people at what looks like an International Association of Scientologists fundraiser. And I say that because that whatever she's holding there says we it probably says we are the IS. That's the International Association of Scientologists. That's the part of Scientology that does nothing but demand money that they use to try to stop people who are questioning or critical about Scientology. They also use the money raised by the International Association of Scientologists. And Stephen Ridley is right there behind the woman holding that big red ball there. And this money goes towards one of their missions, which is ending psychiatry, to get rid of psychiatry so that in Scientology, there's no legitimate mental health treatment. It doesn't it just doesn't really exist. The only thing you can do in Scientology to help your mental health would be more Scientology. And Stephen Ridley, which what we have found out, in fact, that photo came from Apostate Alex, who was here on YouTube and just did a multi-day protest of Scientology over in St. Hill. And Alex was saying too, he sent me some information that Stephen Ridley was known to be a very talented musician. And he became very close friends with Apostate Alex's best friend when Alex was in Scientology. And he verifies, Apostate Alex verifies that it is multiple Scientologists who were working for him, trying to get people to buy these courses, buy in on it, but also recruit them for Scientology. So anyone who does his course will like, well, and we're going to show an example of that, will be asked, hey, do you want to do a personality test? And that is the big red flag right there. When you hear personality test, you should immediately go, oh, this is Scientology. And I don't know if you know this, Andy, the personality test has been being used in Scientology since, I mean, for many, many decades. Since I was a child, they've been doing this personality test. And it's basically to show people, okay, here you are in this graph. These areas are low, and they try to impinge and invade their privacy and space to find out what's going on that you're doing that. You know what? That's going to ruin your life if you don't do something about that. Scientology can help you. So the fact that Stephen Ridley's piano organization, supposed to be teaching piano, is sending people to Scientology to do these tests is, I think, what we've seen so far, the main way. Wouldn't you say that he is recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, when I made my video, I did make a bit of a disclaimer at the end saying, look, this is just research that I found on Google that anybody else can find. It's, it's not secrets. I'm not, casting any aspersions or anything. This is just the information that I have found, and I'm presenting it. And Apostate Alex got in touch with me as well. I think he's obviously communicated with you, probably because you know more about Scientology, more about Scientology than I do. But when he actually said, "Oh yeah, I was buddies with Stephen when he was in Scientology," and the other guy that was mentioned, is it Charles or Charlie or somebody?
Yeah, Charlie was a staff member. I don't know if he still is or not, but was good friends
Well,
with
apparently Charlie is a point of contact for the Ridley Academy. And as soon as he said that, and I was like, well, I kind of feel vindicated now for, because I mean, hit pieces aren't really my thing. I mean, I really enjoy doing them. I am essentially a schoolyard bully, and I will make fun of people who I think are ripping people off or not giving value for money. I will pick on them for everyone else's amusement. That's kind of what I do. But to actually have it backed up, it's like, yeah, well, I kind of don't feel bad about making these videos now, because at the end of the day, the courses are bad value for money. Stephen Ridley isn't that talented a musician. I can probably play piano better than Stephen Ridley. However, I don't have crazy hair. I don't have the figure for it. And unfortunately, nobody's going to fall in love with me and join my cult. So I'm just going to have to stick to my YouTube channel. But yeah, it's just the whole thing's it's sickening. I know I keep saying that, but it really is. And
we can share too. I'm going to share. There's more to this. We've got something else you found. This was a story from that. It sounds like a mother was sharing. My daughter did quite well with the piano learning. She did more though a day than 3 minutes. It's a decent, although pricey course, but it was the grooming her for Scientology that is the real issue with this academy. This I can't seem to shake, that they use a piano school to recruit people into Scientology. The piano school on its own would be grand, but it seems there are a group of mid-20 to mid-30-year-olds. Charlie Wakely, this is the guy you were just talking about too,
yeah,
seems to be the head recruiter. His name was on the email, and Charlie Wakely was a Scientology staff member that Apostate Alex knew back in the day. So they're all connected to Stephen Ridley, who all work in a group to corral and recruit these kids and young women who fall in love with this Stephen guy. They have some sub-cult group called Ridley Gang, where these women seem to have cult follower love for this guy Stephen, and many seem to be very deeply in love with him. It's very disturbing. Very cult follower type of women following him into the cult behind the scenes. I only found out about it after my daughter asked me some questions from a free personality test they got her to do after she asked about mental health, which linked to the Scientology website. I then started to look into it immediately. I feel sick to my stomach. and they nearly got my daughter right under my nose into a cult that tears families apart. I mean, that's hard to read.
It is. I don't know. Part of me actually thinks if you're going to fall in love with a dude like Stephen Ridley, then maybe you should be in a cult. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing as well. I mean, it's like the lady there that wrote that post. My daughter was doing really well. That's the other thing about Stephen Ridley is the stuff he plays is very basic and very simple. But the way he plays it, he makes it sound, to the untrained ear, it sounds great. It's like, oh, he could be on America's Got Talent. He's and I mean, to be honest, I could probably sit down with somebody who's never played piano before and have them playing those 4 chords and those songs that he plays probably in the space of half a day if they had the right aptitude for it. But yeah, like I said, whenever I saw his adverts, I never paid that much attention to him because the guy's a giant butt. And I'd just be like, just be sitting there waiting for the advert to finish or click off it. But there's always something there that, just didn't sit right with me. And it wasn't until I did my first videos about that guy I was talking about called Ken Tamplin, which is quite funny. That I actually started looking into more of these, say scammers. I hate using the word scammer. It's kind of like I don't know. I think it's a very lazy word, but I can't think of a better one because I'm also lazy. So I'm just, I'm going to keep looking because people have suggested names to me in the comments. I've had a couple of emails, and I do think that this might run deeper than just Mr. Ridley. I mean, one of the other things that I haven't mentioned to you or hasn't been mentioned in my videos about his piano giveaway. He's got these ads running everywhere at the moment saying you could win a $4,000 piano that will fit in anybody's apartment. The piano is actually worth about $350 and it's from Temu or AliExpress or something. But again, he's dressing something up as, and I'm like, how many pianos are you giving away, dude? Because I mean, this advert is getting, and I saw, apologies to whoever put this question in the chat. I missed it because I was listening to Natalie.
Questions we're going to pull up.
It was the question was something along the lines of how much does it cost to advertise on YouTube? It's expensive. Yeah, it is really expensive. Just say, for example, my Stephen Ridley video that I've done now. If I wanted to put that up as an advert, I'd probably be looking at about maybe anywhere between $80 to $100 for 1,000 impressions. Which is quite a lot considering how many people are just going to click off that as soon as they get the opportunity. And I mean, I don't wish to talk badly about YouTube because I love YouTube. As anybody knows me, I'm obsessed with YouTube. Sometimes their targeting is very, very, very far off. When they start trying to sell somebody like me weightlifting equipment who's never seen the inside of a gym, I know that they're doing something wrong. So it's expensive to advertise on YouTube. But you do get a very good reach. I think this is what we call the scattergun approach, whereas if you just throw enough out there. But I mean, even in my comments, I've had people saying, oh, yeah, I did the Ridley course and it was great. I'm pretty sure it's Ridley. And then now I've been able to spot all the Scientologists in the comments because they're all saying, well, why aren't you saying anything bad about Catholicism? And I'm saying, because I haven't found any Catholics that are doing a scummy piano course yet. But when I do, they just make it so obvious, don't they, when they start, trying to wheedle their way in there, bless them.
They do. A lot of them, some of them are with what's called the Office of Special Affairs, which is Scientology's, they do all the dirty work kind of thing. But sometimes they'll even get Scientologists to volunteer to go on to things like this, to kind of try to throw a wrench into it, to try and distract the conversation. It is all part of it. And you're probably going to see more of that. This is a great question here from Simon. How did they think they would keep it hush hush, or don't they care? This is the thing. The Scientologists themselves don't think that they're scamming anybody. Now, he may or may not know from the piano lessons part of it that he might be, but recruiting people into Scientology, they believe that they are doing this to save them because their mission is to save the planet. It's to create a world without insanity, without war. Those are the stated aims of Scientology. But the reality is, it is a controlling cult that once you get in, they try to shrink your world more and more so that you can keep on those Scientology blinders and only think with what L. Ron Hubbard says, the founder of Scientology. So it's very, very twisted that way. And it creates a way of thinking of, I don't know, kind of like where you're better than people who don't know. It's kind of condescending, like you're going to help them, they don't know better. And so somebody like Charlie Wakely, who's a church staff member for Scientology, working for Stephen Ridley as, a contact person in his academy. Yeah, his other gig is to recruit for Scientology. So it makes so much sense that they would be doing that and not see that there's anything wrong with that, because Scientologists believe they're saving the world. And to save the world, you have to kind of let people know about Scientology. So I don't think they don't even think to try and hide it so much because they don't see anything wrong with it.
Bless them. Yeah, I suppose if you're dumb enough to believe in that in the first place, then you're probably going to think it's a great idea, aren't you? It's
well, and I will say though, like the interesting thing about the more people that you'll meet too from the former Scientology community, it's so insidious how they twist it around. I was not born, I was 5 when my mom got into Scientology. And this entire time, now at 54, with all the Scientologists and former Scientologists I've met, I've been blown away by how many of them are quite intelligent, but one thing they all have in common, not every single one of them, but a lot of them, is they want to help. They wanted to do something. They wanted to change the world. And along comes Scientology saying, hey, we're already doing that. Look at this. We're sending Way to Happiness books to Africa. We're showing up at natural disasters where people have no food, water, or electricity. But here's a copy of a good moral sense guide. I mean, they're really not doing anything. And it gets completely hijacked that way. People who truly, many of them want to do good. Now, there are also people in Scientology. I feel like there's 2 types. There's that type. And the other one are people who are just a-holes, where Scientology and the control that they're taught is something they can use. And that's what, I don't know Stephen Ridley, but this seems to be what's happening in his piano academy. It's what Grant Cardone does in his 10X organization, which also recruits for Scientology. It's this repeated behavior. It's very culty.
I'm just waiting for Andrew Tate to join. Then, we'll have the unholy trinity.
It'd be something. Jojo Fryrock says, I think asking for such a huge amount of money upfront for anything is always a red flag. So we know that in Stephen Ridley's Piano Academy, it's about $3,000 upfront. How does this work with the rest of musicians in the music world who are teaching? It's sounding like this is not a standard thing.
It's not a standard thing, no. I mean, I can't speak for anybody in the US because obviously I live in the UK, but in the UK, what will happen is you'll find a teacher, a guitar teacher, a piano teacher, and you will pay a set amount weekly. My friend Lexi is a singing teacher, and an awesome human being. And she charges 30, 35 pounds for an hour's lesson. And you pay that when you go and see her. And I know guitar teachers that do that, piano teachers, and depending on the length of the lesson, the level that you're at, how much tuition you need or anything, anywhere between 20 and 50 pounds per hour. But you pay that as you go. The teacher will never say, I want $3,000 up front, buddy, before we do this. It's shocking that anybody would even consider paying this. I mean, like I said, I subscribe to a few Patreons of guitar players. I've seen their YouTube channels that they're awesome. They seem like nice guys, and I'm happy to give them $3 a month for access, to the videos that they're putting up online, which is no different to what Stephen Ridley's doing, because I can guarantee he's not sitting there giving you personalized lessons. It's just going to be a pre-recorded video of something that he's made. And granted that the Ridley method will teach you to sound like a much more proficient piano player than you actually are. But you're never going to be more than sort of like a maybe a grade 1 or 2 pianist using that kind of method. We're talking like 9 grades here, so it's not really that good.
That's amazing, especially when you think about this is $3,000. Don Glove says $3,000. So they're buying an overpriced piano for lessons they could get free on YouTube. So, because you're saying it's a pre-recorded video that they're paying this for, I don't know what might go along with that. But to your point too, there's a lot of people who you can do lessons with online.
Obviously, I'm not going to pay Stephen just so I can see his course. I think that would just make me that my blood pressure wouldn't be able to handle it, and I'd be calling people names and stuff. I'd become very combative. But yeah, it's just now and again he may have like a monthly meet and greet or something, or seminar, but he probably isn't doing them. It's probably somebody else who's a qualified piano teacher who will sit there and do a live stream and say, look, this is what we're doing, guys, and all the rest of it. But I mean, you really did hit the nail on the head there. YouTube is amazing, and it's a fantastic resource for anybody. You could sit at home with a keyboard, and if you were watching the right YouTube video, it's obviously somebody you kind of gel with, and like, oh, I like their style, I like listening to their voice, I like the songs that they're playing. You will learn piano so quickly. And they go at a good speed, but I missed that bit. You can just rewind it and go back, and it is free. There are some amazing resources for learning any musical instrument on YouTube, and I would strongly advise people to maybe have a look at those first before paying for any courses. But you cannot beat one-to-one in the same room tuition. That's for me. I'm pretty old school, but that's for me, that's always going to be the best way forward.
Yeah. And for some, he's even off-putting. Daniel Mustard's Homeless Song says, I knew there was something wrong with that guy. Way too tone 40 to be trusted. And tone 40 is a Scientology term, which basically means just like very intense, using a lot of intention. And you see that in his videos, and I can see how that appeals, especially maybe to young women. He's a handsome young man. And the video, he uses social media a lot to share what he's doing and to sell his courses, which many people do, but not necessarily for $3,000 like that. Simon also asks, are there other similarities of this scam? I would say the similarities that I can speak to between this and Scientology is, number one, paying for everything up front. In Scientology, if you're going to do a Scientology service and it's $25,000, you were paying for the $25,000, not even like, oh, I'm about to start this, here's 25 grand. They will go out and get you to pay for things that you might be years from doing just to get the money. They're registrars where that's their job in Scientology, to go around and get people to pay for future services in Scientology. So I can totally see why Stephen Ridley and his Piano Academy would see nothing wrong with collecting thousands of dollars for services.
Just going back to something you said, though, I mean, like these people that are involved in Scientology, some of them are under the impression that they're doing good and they're going to make the world a better place. I mean, surely if that was the case, then, Scientology would pay the expenses. I don't know. It just,
it doesn't make sense.
It just seems ridiculous that, I mean, I can't think of anybody that I would give more than £1,000 to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes no sense at all. Kelly Copter, who is also in the UK, by the way. Hey, Kelly. When I visited the org, so org in Scientology that's the organization. We say org for short. So a Scientology org could be anywhere. When I visited the org in 2020, they plugged Ridley so fast. Okay, Kelly, that is surprising to me because You know how in Scientology, you're not supposed to push another business or practice like that. So are you saying they pushed it on you? Because Kelly's musical. Kelly sings. She has a YouTube channel. She does all kinds of content, but she's done a lot with Scientology as well. Ooh, Kelly, you got to tell us more about that. I am just like so curious. And Simon, just keep your questions coming. That's why we're doing this. We're here to answer those questions.
Simon he's an inquisitive little soul, bless him.
Love that. It's good to be. Roy Rogers loves Stephanie says, agree, Simon. Music has brought me joy and enjoyment my whole life. It's very wrong to use it to recruit for a cult. Yes.
I kind of think one of the reasons I kind of think I took this personally. It's like, yeah, be a Scientologist, but don't come and start, stamping your feet on my patch because I will say something. But the amount of musicians that have commented on my last video that have just said this is disgusting, he's giving us a bad name, and do people actually think that musicians are actually like this and stuff? I mean, it's shocking. Simon just put another question up there about is he actually a concert pianist as he claims in the ad? I've not found anything to suggest he was. He's not a concert pianist. I've looked extensively online. I can't find any recitals. A concert pianist is next level. Okay. He's not a concert pianist. He may have played some big gigs, but he is not a concert pianist. And not only that, I can't find any evidence of him ever toured. He's done the odd show here and there. I'm not disparaging buskers. He's basically a glorified busker who plays in train stations and stuff like that. The footage of him playing to a big gig in his video is really badly edited. He isn't playing in front of the crowd with all the lighters and everything and stuff. He's a showman. I'll give him that. He is a yes, Kelly. He's a chord smasher. He'll sit there and bash the piano and wave his head and stand on his seat and stuff. And it's very flamboyant. He's like Liberace for the 2000s, except he believes in Space Jesus. So I don't know. It's infuriating.
Yeah, it is. And the more people that know about it, the better. The Scientology part adds just a whole nother twist to it. Simon says, I think the reason why this has gotten under Andy's skin and all of ours too is because we love music. And for us, it means sharing and joy and love, not scamming and exploitation. I totally get that. Did you follow any of the Linkin Park story with Emily Armstrong?
I did. I actually reached out. I did a video about this. I reached out to Aaron, but he just never answers my messages. So I was like, no, don't worry about it, Aaron. And now I'm not going on Aaron's channel anymore. Ron. I will just do all my stuff with Natalie. You ever want to talk about Linkin Park? Don't even get me started on that. I was furious. I don't know. I was a huge Linkin Park fan back in the day, back in the 2000s. I was asking anybody, I'm a huge new metal fan. And it was tragic, absolutely tragic what happened to Chester Bennington. But to replace him with, somebody who behaved in that manner at the Danny Masterson trial was like, I'm not claiming to know Chester Bennington, but I mean, I know the kind of guy he was, and I think he would have been absolutely disgusted. Having, and I mean, I've seen all the people making, excuses for Emily. Oh, she was born into it. She doesn't know any better. I'm sorry, but how can you think that is right? Mm-hmm. Oh, what are we doing today? We're going to court to defend a rapist. Oh yeah, okay. This is fine because I grew up in it. Even if you grew up in it, you know that is wrong. And yeah. The whole Linkin Park thing was infuriating. Emily's a very talented. She's a talented singer, but the whole. Sorry, my Dashan's shouting at me. It's just disgusting, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on. That number one, Linkin Park shouldn't have reformed in the first place, and secondly, they shouldn't have. reformed with an apologist as, you know, as their lead singer, because kids look up to singers in bands and stuff. And, you know, you're looking up to somebody who stood there and went, oh, yeah, Danny Masterson's a cool guy. We're going to stand here and intimidate all these poor Jane Does and everything. I know a lot of people from my lot won't know what I'm talking about, but I've followed the story, you know, very closely. And the stuff that Emily did was disgusting. Basically, Danny Masterson from, what's that show? Is it the 70s show?
That 70s show.
Yeah. And he was accused of the R word. And the women who were accusing him were called the Jane Does. And they went to court, and basically all these girls from Scientology were like staring at them and getting in their faces and stuff to put them off giving evidence against Danny Masterson. And, you know, Emily was one of these girls, and I'm not forgiving that. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And I would stay quiet about that.
It has also come out. In fact, it was Aaron at Growing Up in Scientology who did a video recently confirming that Emily Armstrong is, in fact, and a very active participant in Scientology. Because for a long time, I thought, you know, when I first became familiar with the story, I was very conflicted, because on one hand, as a young girl that Emily was growing up in the Sea organization and knowing how horrific that is, it's great to see somebody making it out of there and pursuing their dreams. On the other hand, when you find out that she still actively supports Scientology and she herself is getting regular Scientology auditing, I just don't understand it at that point when you've been out. And what concerns me, and I think many of the fans of Linkin Park, is how do you follow up with a legacy of what that band once stood for, especially in regard to mental health treatment, and have Emily Armstrong there who doesn't support that? Scientology funds something called a touring of exhibit called Psychiatry, an Industry of Death, to go around the country, to go around the world, educating people on the crimes of psychiatry and how bad it is, and to keep your people out of the hands of psychiatrists. They don't support legitimate mental health treatment. And that is the problem. And the more I got to hear from people in the music world and really hardcore fans, that really was so much of that betrayal. Kind of like what Simon was saying earlier about how important music is, how beautiful, the joy, the healing. And now we're going to let somebody who is actively supports an organization trying to do away with proper mental health treatment. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, the whole. I said in my video, I'm a live and let live kind of guy. You know, if you want to believe in Xenu and people being blown up in volcanoes and operating thetans and all that stuff, then best of luck to you. Seriously, I wish you all the luck. But when it starts to spill over into the real world and affect people, and, you know, they're going to these lengths to cover up crime, I have more respect for the Scientology as an organization. If they'd have said, whoa, Danny Masterson, we're not okay with that, you're on your own now, buddy, that would have been the right thing to do. And I think anybody else would have done that, but not Scientology. And you know, Emily, it's, I don't know, it's a whole thing. But I mean, just
themselves. That's what they're doing by trying to protect Danny Masterson. That's Scientology. They don't care about him in reality. They don't give a shred of an F about Danny Masterson. They're protecting themselves because they know that they knew what happened each time it happened, and they did nothing about it except intimidate witnesses about that. Ken's channel here. Ken, thank you for the super chat. Ken says, so awesome. Andy busted this. I play Malcolm in an AC/DC band with Scott Travis, JP, and have been following your channel. I was going to tell Nat and Aaron, and boom, they found you.
Oh, so many crossovers. Thank you so much, Ken. Yeah, glad you enjoyed. It's funny, I just got a notification that Aaron's just added me as a friend on Twitter. All my dreams have come true. I've met Natalie and now I'm friends with Aaron on Twitter. So yeah,
worlds are colliding.
Best day ever.
Moose on the Loose is here. He's a live streamer who goes out and protests Scientology on the regular. I love it
Yeah.
when worlds collide.
No, it is nice. And I mean, the thing is, as well, like I said, I fell down this rabbit hole by accident, but I don't know. I think it's the more people educated about it, the better. Because if I hadn't seen your videos and Aaron's videos, then maybe I wouldn't have recognized some of the signs, and I wouldn't have realized how. Because I mean, back before I got an unhealthy interest in this kind of thing, Scientology is just another kooky religion, and that was it. And I think a lot of people, especially guys that follow my channel and stuff, that do not realize how sinister it actually is. And I think like I said, if one person chooses not to do Stephen Ridley's course after seeing my video, then I've done a good job as far as I'm concerned. I've stopped one person getting involved in it, and that's me happy.
Yep, I completely agree. I do have another tidbit here that you brought to share about this, and it says online sleuths discovered that Ridley resides near the international headquarters for Scientology. His self-helpy, feel-good rhetoric also closely resembles the manipulation tactics for which Scientology receives widespread criticism. Phrases like revolutionize your life and achieve your dreams permeate his sales pitch. Now, I think they're talking about, international headquarters. Doesn't he, if he lives in the UK, or does he live in the US?
I think I don't know, because I got the impression of Apostle Alex that he did live in the UK, but he has now moved to the US. I mean, that could be wrong. He's a slippery little snake, is our Stephen Ridley. It wouldn't surprise me, if he's moved up, the Scientology ladder and things. It wouldn't surprise me if he's highly thought of, in good standing, that he would be, hanging around, greasing up the big bosses over in America there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do think he lives in the US.
I'm under the impression that he lives in the US now, but that he started in the UK.
And this is interesting. Moreover, the structured levels for advancing piano skills in his course strongly mirror Scientology's own tiered system for spiritual enlightenment, which requires members to keep paying more and more to climb the rungs. The financial parallels seem too conspicuous to ignore. While no concrete paper trail of Ridley's payment to Scientology exists yet, although, I think
we've got one now. We've got the link, and we've got the photographs and stuff. So,
exactly. That's right. We have the photograph right here. Yeah, there he is. And this isn't like an event for new people. This is the International Association of Scientologists. That's hardcore, when you're there attending those type of fundraisers. And I think that statement there really says it all. The similarities with that tiered, it's just the next thing. When you pay for the next thing and you do your next thing, you're going to be able to get to that level. It's incredibly manipulative. And it really warms my heart to see you and other people in the music community standing up to protect the spirit of music and what it's for.
It's not just that, though. I mean, it's like, if a child goes up to a parent and says to their mum or dad, I'd like to learn how to sing, or I'd like to learn how to play the piano, or I'd like to learn how to play the guitar, I think any parent that has got the means to make that happen will make it happen. It'll be like, oh my God, my little Johnny's creative. God damn, here's a trumpet. Somebody made such a good comment on one of my videos earlier, and it was that since schools have stopped teaching, creative arts like singing and dancing and drama and acting and music and stuff, the grades have actually gone down in schools. And my life as a teenager was music. I mean, I was quite a reclusive little soul, and I just sit in my bedroom and play guitar and play it. I'd get in from school at 4:30, and I would be sat there at 10:30 at night still playing. And that gave me the confidence to go out and meet people and make friends and stuff. And I think I owe my sanity to music. When I was finished, when the army was finished with me, I had quite bad PTSD, and music helped me get over that. It's a powerful thing, and to see it abused to, number one, make money, rip people off, which is what Stephen Ridley, in my opinion, is doing, and number two, indoctrinating people into a cult that wrecks lives and tears family apart. I'm going to take it personally. And if anybody at Scientology wants to come after me, I live in a little house in the middle of nowhere, so I will see you coming before you get to me. Just so you know.
Yeah, they'll. I don't think.
Oh, I hope they do.
I don't think they know what trouble they would be getting into. Marla Dillard says, there's the takeaway. People are now realizing how insidious Scientology is, and stopping one person from being taken advantage of is worth getting the word out. And Jojo Fryrock says, the whole thing is a Ponzi scheme. And those, at least in the UK, are illegal. So I don't know how they get away with it. Yeah, they're illegal here as well. And Simon says, this is the hill we're going to die on.
Hail, Simon.
Yeah. Jojo says, Andy's got a pack of hounds as well. Be afraid.
Granted, 2 of them are chihuahuas and 1 of them's a pug. But
Daniel says, music saves my life every single day.
It does. It's yeah, I think, and I don't know, even people that listen to music have said that, that song saved my life, or I was having a bad day and that song came on the radio and I felt better. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It really is.
It really is.
And like I say, I mean, I haven't been doing this long, but the awesome little community I've got built up, some of these people, I've known them a few months and I would class them as good friends now. And that is purely just because of the music.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Susan says Scientology will use any angle to get to their next victim of this cult. That is so absolutely true. And is it Wench or Wenchy? Wench? Search for him. He is OT preparation. So Stephen Ridley, yeah, that means operating Thetan preparation. That means he did all the way up to prepare. That means he has achieved the state of clear. He has realized that he has been creating his own reactive mind and he is no longer going to do it. So he is steps away from actually learning about Xenu. And maybe that's even part of why he moved to the US. I don't know. Because after OT preparations, once you are accepted onto those upper levels in Scientology that are confidential, that everybody knows about except Scientologists, because it's on the internet, you then start on that where you're auditing yourself and getting rid of what are called body thetans in Scientology, which are these spirits of aliens from other planets who were brought here by Xenu because of overpopulation, dumped into a volcano and blown up. And the souls of these people / aliens attached to humans, and they are the cause of all of our issues. So Stephen Ridley, if he can pay, sell enough of these $3,000 classes, that's what he's going to be dealing with. He will on the daily be with a Scientology e-meter and locating body thetans on his body and getting them to leave, communicating with them telepathically.
I would just love to break it to him that OT9 and OT10 don't exist. Just blow his mind.
That is huge for Scientologists. And they usually, most don't believe it, but you plant the seed.
I'm not a Scientologist, and even I know that OT9 and OT10 just will never be given out because I'm surprised somebody hasn't written them, because they did in South Park.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they tried partly. I don't know, but they would have to, because they definitely were not done. They don't exist. They're not going to be released. But that is the carrot for Scientologists. That is the carrot that keeps them going, is oh, once I get to the top of these levels, there'll be these new ones coming out. And it's been decades. They don't exist. I just don't know, at what point, just go, oh, but here's the thing. Here's what Scientology tells their people. We cannot release these operating Thetan levels 9 and 10 until there are enough Scientology organizations across the planet to handle the huge influx of public that's going to occur when these magical levels get released and people start doing their thing.
Here's a question for you, Natalie. I've always wondered this, right? What's the dropout level like after they've been told about Xenu? Because sorry, if somebody told me that, because I think I saw it was the Leah Remini, and I think she was on Joe Rogan, and after they told her about Xenu, she was like, "What?
Yeah,
Really?" I mean,
it varies. I mean, you look at somebody like Nicole Kidman, who did right up to about that point, and then she was out the door after that. So I can share my own experience because I did it. I remember learning about it sitting there in the course room, and it's a course room that's within a locked building, a locked room, and you go to the shelf and you get your confidential materials. It's a course pack and it's plugged in, and you have to unplug it and quickly go to the table and plug it back in before every alarm goes off and the building gets locked down. This is how much they protect what is not a secret, what is on South Park, what is everywhere. So when you find this out, if you're struggling with it, one of the things that was told to me was, well, look at Christianity. If you never knew about Christianity, if somebody said to you, drink the blood of Christ, or you're eating the blood of Christ, you're eating the body of Christ, that there was, that Mary did not have sex with anyone and she had a baby, that would be odd to them. So that is one of the ways that Scientology uses to say, hey, we're a new religion. And just like Christianity, people thought that was weird in the beginning. That's part of the justification. And the reality is, by the time you reach that level, you've invested so much money that you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to just go with this. But I mean, it was after I did through operating Thetan level 4 and I left after that, but you do them all together. You do 1, 2, 3, and maybe you can take a break, but usually you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you leave Scientology.
That's crazy. Dude, that's the other thing as well. While I've got you here, is it kind of like the Masons where they all just like look after each other? So it's like we have a religion here in the UK. I don't know if you have them in the US, called the Plymouth Brethren. And they're quite a hardcore, oldie, worldy Christian religion, but they will only do business with each other. So, like, they will only do their shopping at another Plymouth Brethren owned store, and they will only hire Plymouth Brethren people to work for them and stuff. Is it kind of like that in Scientology?
Yes, there is definitely that mentality of, oh, if there's a dentist who's a Scientologist, you're going to want to work with that dentist because, they're going to follow some of the Scientology procedures, like not speaking when somebody is experiencing pain or unconsciousness. That's why there are silent births in Scientology, or supposed to be. Because L. Ron Hubbard, a man who never had a child in his damn life, decided to tell all of these women that we shouldn't make any noise while we're going through childbirth. And on top of that, we shouldn't have medication for it. We should just take it. And they do. We do. I did. And obviously, I'm pissed off about it. That's probably
He didn't have a lot of good ideas, did he, Elron?
he did not. And you had to follow everything, and you're not allowed. And being someone who was raised in Scientology, it's all I knew. So that is your existing world. That is your point of reference. And you are indoctrinated to, anytime you're unsure of anything, is what would L. Ron Hubbard do? What would LRH do? Let's go and look and see what L. Ron Hubbard would do. And that is what you do. You are indoctrinated and trained to not trust your own intuition, to not trust your own thoughts, especially if it's in conflict with what L. Ron Hubbard says.
I'm sorry, but any photographs I see of L. Ron Hubbard, like, if he was alive these days, he'd be on some kind of register. He wouldn't be allowed within 200 meters of a school. He's just got that look about him.
He does.
Sorry.
He really does.
It was inappropriate, and
that was perfectly appropriate. It is So true. Scientists talking of dentistry, LRH's gnashers were awful. Was he crypto British? What is crypto British?
I think the standing joke is that everybody in the UK has terrible teeth. I can't say anything because mine aren't my teeth. I lost all mine in an IED incident, so mine are just pretend teeth. I think that's what Simon's alluding to.
Yeah. Says, oh, and Mama Opal says, we've got a few ex-Scientologists here in the chat. Feel free to ask questions. They're all willing to answer. Yeah.
Yes, James, exactly like Mr. Savile. He's got that look about him. Like, you wouldn't leave him as a babysitter, would you? Not with that face. Like, Mummy, Uncle Elron.
So I do think that, you know what, here, I'm going to pull up again in case anybody jumped on and didn't see this here. I want to make sure. Where did I put it? Here it is. That people know where to find you. You guys can find Andy at Guitar Stuff Studio. And he's already done a few videos on this topic with Scientology. And he's got an amazing pet.
This is Princess Crumpet III.
Oh, she's adorable. How old is she?
She's 5. She's six next month.
Wow.
She's only really. You good girl. Can I have kisses? No.
Vanessa here makes a good point too. Lurking today while I try to get some deadlines to make it work. But yes, to using dentists and chiropractors that are Scientologists. We used to drive so friggin' far from my orthodontist visits. Oh yeah, that's for sure. Everybody loves your little pup there. So how many dogs do you have?
I've got 4. I've got 2 Chihuahuas. I've got a Dachshund, and I've got a pug, and I've got a giant tortoise as well.
And you live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm just. If I was a lady, I'd be a crazy cat lady. I don't care. I admit it.
I love it. James Steele just subbed to Andy. That's awesome. You guys go find him and check it out. And I'm sure that we'll be chatting again. Oh, now who's this one? Is this the pug?
This is Amadeus Pickle.
Amadeus Pickle?
Yeah.
Let's see that face.
Make it. Show me your flaps. Come on.
It's like he's camera shy.
He's camera shy. He's doing the old razzle dazzle. Come
on. Simon's asking a question for any ex-Scientologist. How much money did you spend? There's no shame, just so we have an idea of the outlay. I can tell you with my not even counting my whole family, I had 3 generations of my family in Scientology, and it's pretty much impossible to figure out at this point. But I can tell you during the course of my marriage, probably, well over $100,000 for sure, maybe even 150. And that's not even throughout like my entire lifetime. That's just when I was married. It is not uncommon for people to get on the upper levels of Scientology and it even costs a couple $100,000, because not only is it pay to play for everything you do, course or auditing in Scientology, but you have to support all the different front groups. So you're giving money to the Citizens Commission on Human Rights to eradicate psychiatry. You're giving money to the International Association of Scientologists to do whatever pet project they have at the moment. So many front groups, there's constant demands. I remember coming home at times on the weekend with my family, and I would see someone parked in my driveway. I would keep going because I knew it was Scientology coming around to ask for money. And that was what on a good day when I was actually a Scientologist.
That is crazy. What do they do with all that money? Because I know they were buying property and everything, but
they're not buying the property even with their own money. So what Scientology does, this is their real estate scam, is they go to like a local organization, like here in the Twin Cities where I live in Minnesota, and they go, okay, we're going to raise money they call them their ideal orgs, because they're supposed to be ideal, because David Miscavige, the current dictator of Scientology, says, well, if you build it, they will come. So they get money from the parishioners, refinancing their homes, maxing out their credit cards, emptying out their IRAs, whatever it takes to purchase and renovate the building. telling them, now you'll have this beautiful building that you can do Scientology in and bring new people into, and it will just expand because the public knows us by how our physical things are, how things look. The reality is, once they do this, the mother church actually charges rent of that church, where all those local members just put out millions of dollars to buy this building, and now they have to pay rent. It's also part of the scam.
That's ridiculous. I mean, from what I've seen of Aaron, from what Aaron's been saying, though, that it does seem like it's on the wane now compared to, what it was like 20, 30 years ago. Is that a case of it? Is it dying off? Are they having trouble recruiting now and stuff? Or
They are. They are. Scientology has been dying for quite some time. The issue is with their really big donors and people who give them incredible amounts of money, like Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson. I heard it was like over
Tiny
$100
Tom
million.
Cruise?
Yeah, Tom Cruise, same thing. So Grant Cardone, the Minkoff family, just keep donating crazy amounts of money to Scientology because it is tax deductible. So I know these are wealthy people who need those deductions as well. And it just doesn't stop. It really hurts the average person who, when you put $6,000 on a credit card, that's a lot of money. And now that person has to pay it off. And that's light in Scientology. Many Scientologists are in huge amounts of debt because of what it costs to do Scientology. And with every step, you're told, well, if you do this, you'll be more capable and more able to make more money. That's the trap.
I could be interested. Will I be better at guitar?
Yeah,
no, it's absolutely crazy, and like I say, I see you guys doing your streams, and I'm like, fair play to you. You're doing good work, and to have actually been able to be involved with it and do my own little bit, that it does feel quite good. It's I really get why you guys do it.
Yeah, it makes me happy. It is my favorite thing, is coming online every day and exposing Scientology and shining a light on it. There's probably, I think it's generous to say there's 20, 30, definitely not more than 40,000 members. The average seems to be about maybe 25,000 members worldwide for Scientology. There are more former Scientologists than current Scientologists. There's more the organization members than current ones. They have so much money, and they're continuing to get money, get that funding to do what it is that they do. Marla says it is dying. However, that's why their tactics of leveraging people like Stephen Ridley are even more insidious. Thanks for saying something. And that is a fantastic point and very true, because they can no longer recruit right outside of their organizations, being there's so many people live streaming and protesting Scientology all over the world. They're having to get more creative and going through companies like Stephen Ridley's and encouraging them to recruit. I mean, and as we've established, one of the main people in his piano academy is a Scientology staff member whose job it is to recruit people into Scientology.
It's like I say, it's crazy. I'm looking, I'm going to keep digging and see what else I can come up with. But it's like I was saying to you backstage before we came on, it's not really, this isn't what my channel is mainly about, and I don't want to be seen to be like flogging the same horse over and over and over again just for the sake of it. But if I do find out something more significant, then anything I do find out, I'll pass over to you guys and let you run with it. But I might make another video. I mean, I'm sure there's other guys out there that are scamming music students to help with Scientology, so I will be I'll keep looking. I don't have a lot else going on.
I'm so glad. I so appreciate you coming to do this. And again, everybody go check out Guitar Stuff Studio. Make sure to, if you're from his channel over here, give a little like and subscribe over here and join us sometimes. We have a lot of fun over here talking about Scientology mainly, but other cults as well. Andy, I cannot wait to talk to you again. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us about this whole Stephen Ridley fiasco.
Yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been an absolute privilege to be here. A huge shout out to all the guys from my channel that have come over in the chat and joined in tonight. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, they were all just absolutely lovely. So I'm glad we're crossing genres here, and I absolutely love it. Thank you for being here, everybody else. I hope you all get out and have an amazing cult-free day.